Falling into a comfortable position. Taking a nice deep inhale through the nose. A full exhale. Sighing out of the mouth, letting the weight of the body drop into the ground. Just noticing how your body feels right now. How is your energy? How's your nervous system? When we are quite stressed, there can be this kind of buzzing sensation in the body. When we're feeling relaxed, there's a smoothness in the nervous system. A feeling of connectedness to body, to mind, to breath. Our thoughts are very powerful. We can use our thoughts through visualization, through affirmation to change what's happening physiologically. Breath is also very powerful for adjusting the nervous system state that we're in, helping the nervous system to regulate itself. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose with this yogic breath. Deep inhale, sending the breath down into the belly. Full exhale, gently engaging your lower abdominal muscles, softly pushing the breath out. If you find it difficult to breathe right into your belly, you can take your hands onto your abdomen. This helps the brain to understand where it needs to connect with. Feeling the belly rising as you inhale, and falling as you exhale. Start to feel the body becoming a little bit heavier as the muscles relax and we let go, gripping, holding ourselves up. Allow your jaw to soften, your eyes to soften. Back of the head heavier and heavier, and not just the shoulders and the neck release. Maybe starting to notice any changes in the body. It could be very subtle, very small movements. As the body releases held tension patterns. See if you can breathe even deeper now. Really expanding the torso as you inhale. You feel like you're taking as much air as you can to feel a little sip. Hold that breath for a moment. And then exhale slowly. Try not to allow the breath to speed up as it comes out. When you feel like you've reached the base of that exhale, give it a little squeeze to get the last few bits of stale oxygen out of the lungs. 2 more breaths like this. Big inhale, an extra sip, pause. Slow exhale, a little squeeze, and pause. hands. Inhale, reach your hands up overhead. Take a full body stretch, maybe taking a little bit of movement side to side through the hips. The ribs rise, feel the abdomen stretching, groin navel to spine, engaging those lower abdominal muscles. And with the arms stretched, so the upper body is nice and taut, almost like you're really reaching with the hands. We're going to push into the heels so that the backs of the knees lift off the mat. And then roll the knees over to the right hand side so that the left hip lifts. Try to keep your left shoulder blade on the mat. You feel a stretch through the waist, outer hip, maybe even into the shoulder. You can even squeeze your shoulder a little bit, bringing out tension. So both heels stay on the mat, just tipping them over to the side. Little bit of a lean, stretch into the lower back, waist. Keep the abdominals drawn in. Inhale to center, soften the body. Exhale, rolling the knees to the other direction, pushing your feet into the mat. That right hip lifts, right shoulder on the mat, stretching yourself out. So you're a little bit engaged here. Abdominals drawing in. Quite a big stretch if you activate the body here with quite a small movement. Squeezing the shoulders maybe a little bit, bringing out tension, and inhaling back to center. Sliding your feet up onto the mat so that the knees are pointing up. Knees, center of the knee in alignment with the hip bones, so feel for those bony bits at the fronts of the hips. Making a little triangle with your hands, so thumbs are together, fingertips are together. You're going to place that triangle directly over your pelvis. So you can feel your pubic bone and your hip points. Hip points are underneath the pads of the hands, and the fingertips are down towards the pubic bone, thumbs together. As you inhale, roll the hips forward. As you exhale, blowing out through softening first hips, drawing the hips into the ribs. Inhale, rolling forward. Exhale, hips to ribs. Can you feel the back of your pelvis quite heavy on the mat? You feel that as you roll your hips away from your ribs, you create a deeper arch into the lower back and mid back. And then as you exhale, rolling the hips in towards the ribs, you lengthen the back, press it down slightly on the mat. Just exploring how these two opposite directions feel in the body. And we're going to draw the pelvis into a neutral position. This is our pubic bone and hip bones are. Take a breath into your belly again. Feel the belly rising underneath the hands. Exhale. A little short, sharp breath out. Can you feel your lower abdominals, those muscles just between the hip points, kind of jumping and engaging? On your next exhale, please think about scooping up through the lower abdominals and pelvic floor yourself. So rather than it being automatic little jump with the breath, you're inhaling, expanding, softening these abdominal muscles and the pelvic floor which runs between the legs. And then as you exhale, that feeling zipping in and up, pelvic floor, lower abdominals. You might feel as you engage this kind of sense of security into the lower back. Everything draws in and up. You just feel a little bit more secure, locked in through the lower half of the body. On your next exhale, we're going to keep this zipped up sensation. Slide hands up to ribs, checking that the ribs are not sticking up. Or down towards the hips, spine lengthens even more. Starting to breathe into the back and sides of the rib cage. So this wide lateral breath. Try not to let any breath come into your belly. So you could take one hand just below the navel, one hand across the rib cage. Checking that your belly is not moving. Connecting to the breath, connecting these abdominal muscles before we start moving, checking. Lovely. We're going to keep pelvis neutral. That zipped up sensation through pelvic floor, lower abdominals, ribs drawn down, and that breath into the back and sides of the ribs. Rolling the shoulders back and down. So imagine your shoulder blades are just floating behind your chest. Feel a sense of openness across the neck and the fronts of the shoulders. Inhale, float your hands up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, scissoring right hand back behind the head, left hand down. Inhale through center. Exhale, right hand down, left hand back. Imagine the arm bone, very top of the arm bone, just rotating in the shoulder socket. Keep your elbows soft, but your hands, your fingers a little bit active. Keep breathing into ribs, in through the nose, out through the mouth. You want to keep the shoulders stabilized, so keeping shoulders away from the ears, keeping the ribs drawn down towards the hips. If that feels okay, we'll add on. Both hands pointing towards the ceiling. Exhale, both hands come behind the head. Can you feel that your ribs want to lift up? You need to engage your abdominal muscles a little bit more here. Imagine you're holding a big ball, big heavy weighted ball, and you're passing it to someone behind your head. But just out of view, I don't want you to lose control of the arms, okay? You don't want to lose control of the upper half of the body. Feel that little bit of resistance as the hands come overhead. You're going to deepen that abdominal engagement and keep the shoulders down away from the ears. Add in a little bit of a stretch and exhale, hands behind the head. Turn the hands to face away from one another. Inhale, circle the hands wide. Exhale. In. 2 more here. Last one. Checking the pelvis is still neutral. Inhale, nod up to your abdomen. Exhale, sliding upwards to hips. Making sure that the pelvis doesn't move. So you want to imagine that your tailbone is rooted in the ground. Inhale. Exhale, releasing with control, head and shoulders back down. If anyone has any tension in the neck and shoulders, you can take hands behind the head. Inhale, nod. Exhale. Slide up. Inhale, hold. Exhale. Release it back down with control. Two more here, please. And releasing. If you need a little stretch or body stretch, if you need to look side to side to release off in the neck, please do. We're going to push the hands into the ground as you exhale, scooping into the abdominals, lifting one leg to tabletop. We're going to take a breath into ribs. Exhale, switch the legs over. Keep the pelvis nice and steady. Inhale and then exhale, switch. Keep a sense of width across the chest. Sticking with this, or with exhale, extend one leg on the diagonal. Switch, exhale, diagonal. Switch, diagonal. Switch. Keeping the pelvis nice and steady. One more each side. Take a breath into belly. If you need a little release, take it. Stretch, a little bit of movement. We're coming back to the same position. Exhale, lifting one leg to tabletop. And then the other, keep drawing in through the lower abdominals. Hands by the sides or hands behind the head. Inhale, nod, exhale, sliding upwards to hips. Inhale, hold, exhale, release the back. Keep drawing in through the abdominals, keep pelvis neutral. Focus on that lovely rib to hip connection. Imagine you're holding arms underneath your chin. You want to keep it in place as you come up. And last one. Release the legs. Roll the knees over to the right, open the arms wide. Knees to center and over to the left. You're going to bring the legs into tabletop. Hands by the side, zip up to the abdomen, ribs down. Hands behind the head. Inhale, nod, exhale, slide up. We're going to stay here. Keep that arm underneath your chin. Keep looking towards the thighs. Exhale, extending one leg in a diagonal. Inhale, bend. Exhale, opposite leg. Inhale. The further you bring your legs away from your body, the more challenging it's going to be to keep the pelvis neutral. So if you're already struggling, just keep it a little slightly on the diagonal, okay? Keep that rib to hip connection, looking at the tops of the thighs. Lovely, keep that space underneath your chin. One more each side. Beautiful. Inhale and exhale, slowly release down. Well done. We're going to keep the left leg on the mat. Hands can either be by the sides, grounded into the mat, that little push sensation. This can help to zip up the abdominals a little bit deeper. Or we can take hands to the hips. We want to make sure that the hips don't move here. So we're going to lift the right leg into tabletop. Toes softly bent. Exhale to pull the knee out to the side and then inhale down around the back. And draw my circle with the knee. Imagine you're trying to perfect circle on the ceiling above. Keep it really slow and really small if you need to. Focus on zipping up through the pelvic floor, the lower abdominals. Reverse your circles. Brilliant. Releasing. Left leg lifts. One side might feel much easier, much harder to control than the other. So if one side needs that little bit more focus, a little bit more pelvic floor engagement, then just slow it down. Reverse your circles. And releasing the leg back down, keep the legs a little wobble. Come up to a seated position. Feet in alignment with knees and hip bones. You want to have like 2 train tracks, making sure that there's some space between the feet. And just have a little bobble side to side. I want you to feel your sit bones underneath you, the bony bits. If you're feeling like your lower back is kind of rolling, or you're a bit rounded, or you're finding it hard to sit up nice and tall, you might be leaning forward a little bit. I want you to feel that zip, that lift from underneath your pelvic floor, your lower abdominals drawing in, spine lengthening. The toes are on the mat. You might need to adjust the distance of the feet when we get into this pose a little bit, so don't worry about that. Hands are behind thighs, lengthen as you inhale. As you exhale, I'd like you to scoop in through the abdominals. Feel as though you're hooking your ribs over your hips and then look down. Little C shape. Focus on more movement through the lower back than the upper back. Inhale, lengthening back up. Lovely. Exhale, scooping in. Just sitting off your sit bones. Inhale, lengthening back up. Either just sticking with this if you need to. We're going to layer up. Exhale. You can walk the hands down, the thighs keep drawn into the abdomen, looking down. Inhale, and then exhale, walking back up. Nice and slow, really focusing on the abdominals, really focusing on drawing into the center. Try and keep your chest open as well. So we have this tendency when we roll to let the shoulders creep up and roll forward and kind of cave in the chest. We're going to keep it as open as we can. If this feels okay, you want to add on, you can release your hands. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, scooping in, rolling back. Draw the hands down by your thighs to help keep the chest open. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, rolling back, slow. Inhale, and exhale. Forward, inhale, lengthen. One more here. If you're feeling a lot of tension in your hips and your thighs, see if you can reduce that and focus more engagement on the core. Beautiful. Last one. Lengthen the legs, raise and shake. We're going to bring the feet back up onto the mat and coming down onto our elbows. I'm going to bring your elbows just underneath your shoulders. We want to think about the spine coming onto the diagonal line, okay? So try not to let your lower back sink down into the mat. Imagine the pelvis is neutral, zipping up through the abdominals. We're going to lift the right leg into tabletop, open across the chest. Hands can be facing in towards you or down on the mat if you want to push into the ground a little bit, it can help. Keep sit up. We're going to exhale and inhale, circling around. Exhale and inhale. Sticking with this, if you want to add challenge, lengthen the leg away. Try and keep the hips nice and level. Reverse your circle. Releasing the leg, a little wobble, you might want to lift the leg to the side. Hips move a little bit. And then the leg. Exhale. And inhale. Lovely. Keep scooping in through the abdominals. Keeping the ribs going down to your hips, your chest nice and open. yourself out. If you want to extend the leg, you can.
My brain doesn't compute in this direction. It doesn't know how to go the other way.
I know, it's so funny when you take correction, you're like, what is going on? Particularly on one side, I always find my left side, it's just I can't, because I'm right-sided.
Yeah.
And release. Lie down for a moment, open the arms wide, look over one side. And then the other. Let's see if I can put the music back over. We're going to come back up to this position. Oh, worked. Didn't think it would. Opening the chest. We're going to lift the right leg. Exhale, extend. Inhale, bend. Exhale, extend. Slowly. Keep going in through the abdominals. Don't let the spine move. Swap it over. And then we're going to lift both legs, one at a time. Keep your chest lifted. If you want extra time, zip your legs together. Extend both. Last one. Knees in, release the legs down. Drop onto your back. Give the shoulders a roll. Looking over one side and the other. Taking your feet so that the heels are in alignment with the sit bones, knees in alignment with hip bones. You want your heels to be underneath your knees, so in nice and close, not too close. We're going to take a breath. As you exhale, start to zip up, scooping into the lower abdominals, and just rolling hips into the ribs so you can feel that the lower back becomes flush against the mat. Inhale, pelvis back to neutral. Exhale, scooping it up. Wonderful. Inhale, pelvis back to neutral. Exhale, scooping it up. See if you can completely relax your thighs, your glutes, your hips, and just use the abdominal muscles in the pelvic floor to create this little roll, this little scooping. On your next one, you're going to start like this little scoop in with the abdominals. Then I want you to push into your feet. Can you feel that your glutes and the backs of the legs switch on? We're going to exhale, continue to roll up, peel up. Tailbone, lower back, mid back, come into a nice diagonal line. Think about sending your knees forward, almost like you're trying to push the wall away from you. You can push down into the hands, bring them by the sides, keep the chest open, put the ribs down. Inhale, and exhale, rolling down, peeling down, really nice and slow. Focus on getting that lovely roll through the lower back as you place the pelvis back down on the mat. Inhaling, and exhale, scooping in, rolling hips in towards ribs, peeling off one vertebra at a time, coming up into a lovely diagonal line. Inhaling, breathing into ribs, keep the core switched on. Exhale, slowly, slowly, slowly. As much movement as you can through the spine, noticing any areas that need a little bit more support, maybe a little bit more time. If everything feels good, and we've got a bit more attention to spare, we're going to add in a little bit of movement with the arms. So now as you exhale, we can start to float the hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale. Hands float back down. Try to keep the hips nice and steady. Keep zipping in through the abdominals, shoulder blades on the mat. Inhale into ribs and exhale, heel. On our next one, we're going to lift and hold. Think about sending the knees forward. Think about sending the tailbone towards the backs of the knees. Open across the chest. We're going to exhale, scissor the arms. Right hand back, left hand down. Keep those hips nice and steady. Keep zipping up through the core. Ribs down towards hips. Spine doesn't move. We're just rotating the arms in the shoulder sockets. But feel that little bit of challenge in your core, like the backs of the legs are starting to burn. If you want to add on, we'll take 3 more. Both hands can come behind the back. Inhale, hands back up to the ceiling. Exhale, peeling down nice and slow. Hands float down by the sides. Give the legs a little wiggle. We're going to roll over onto our right sides. Coming into a nice long one. Or you can roll over whichever side you want. Just make sure you can see me. Doesn't matter too much. Coming into a nice long line. Arms can be long. If you want to take a block or if you're holding a pillow underneath your head, you can bend your elbow. Just make sure your neck is long, okay? We want to make sure that the shoulders are not creeping up to the ears. Shuffle forward. Zipping up through the abdominals. Send your pubic bone and your tailbone straight down towards the feet, okay? Feel that sense of drawing in. Ribs to hips, we're closing that little gap. You feel the abdominals engaging, you feel that sense of wrapping across the waist. You want to have the shoulders, the chest open. You want to feel quite active just laying here, like you're standing almost. We're going to take a breath into ribs, and as you exhale, extend and point the feet. Inhale, flex and lower. Exhale, point and lift. Inhale, flex and lower. Keep that little bit of engagement. I always find a little bit of engagement through the glutes and through the core, and we're kind of creating this sandwich to help us balance, the sandwich of muscles, keeping the bones in place. Think about extension rather than lifting really high. We want to activate that whole upper leg as we lift. Lovely. Last one. And release. You need to give your hip a little roll. Go for it. We're going to inhale to lift the leg just in line with the hip. Exhale, zipping inner thighs to toes. The bottom leg comes to meters. And lower. Inhale and exhale. You might get this little kind of click through your inner thigh. Did you get that? Yeah. Sometimes you can kind of feel it in your pubic bone. It's actually, sometimes your pubic bone can be sliding back into place. If you ever gone to the osteopath and they've adjusted your pubic bone, it's a very strange feeling. But it's that same thing, they get you to squeeze a ball between your knees. Last one. And release. Give the hip a roll. Bending up the knees. Making sure that your heels are in line with the back of the pelvis, and when you look down at your knees, they're stacked. Make sure one knee isn't coming forward or coming back. Lengthen your tailbone towards your heels, zipping up pelvic floor, lower abdominals. Hand on top hip. We're going to stop this hip from moving, okay? So it's not going to roll back as we lift. Toes are together, but the heels are apart. As you exhale, lift that knee up. So we're opening into a clam. No movement through this hip, okay? Your hands like a little policeman. We want to feel some engagement into the glute, that bone muscle. Inhaling to lower. Keep it slow. Really bring that kind of yogic awareness of the body. Bringing it into this area, this top hip, this glute. Feel what's happening. Feel what's maybe not happening. Last one here. If you need to take a little release too. I'm going to lift the heels off the mat for our next round. Keep zipped up through the abdominals. That will be rib to hip connection. Exhale, lift. Inhale. Keeping that hip nice and steady. We're going to lift and hold. Just take a tiny little pulse, just like you're squeezing and releasing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release knee and feet. Well done. Coming over to the other side. Nice long line. Zipping up. Pelvic floor, lower abdominals, ribs to hips. Tailbone pointing down towards the backs of the heels. Taking a breath into ribs. Exhale, point and lift. Inhale, flex and lower. I'm going to make sure that this hip, this top hip, is not moving. So if you're coming up really high and your hip's kind of swishing in towards your waist, that means you're coming too high. You want to keep the pelvis really steady. Sometimes less is definitely more. We make a smaller, more controlled movement. We actually get more engagement through the muscles. As you lift your leg, just try and keep it back as kind of coming forward. Really think about extending out and then lift, and I'll keep it engaged. Last one. And release. Zipping up again, we're going to inhale, leg comes just in line with the hip, exhale, zip, and inhale, exhale, inhale, a little bit of engagement through the glutes is going to help that balance. Sandwich, back of the body, front of the body engaged, and then pelvic floor. Last one. And release. Bending both knees, heels in alignment with the back of the pelvis. Zipping up, so lengthen the spine. We all kind of, when we come to lay and we let our ribs come forward and our bum come back. Imagine you're standing, zipped up. Split the heels. Relax your shoulders. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhaling. And lower. Last one. Take a little release. Lifting the heels off the mat, toes together, heels apart. Exhale. Inhale. Check that top hip's not moving at all. And we're going to lift and hold. Tiny, tiny little pulses. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Bend your leg up. We'll roll forward onto our fronts. Taking hands underneath the shoulders, pressing yourself back into a child's pose, walking hands forward. Leaning the hips to one side. And then over to the other. Hips back to center. Bringing your hands in line with the shoulders, spread the fingers and push the hands into the mat. Just lifting the head off the mat, lift your hips so you can tuck under your toes. And we're going to come into down dog. Keep that lovely extension through the spine. Don't worry too much about knees being, legs being straight, and keep the knees bent. We'll walk through the backs of the legs. Keep drawing in through the abdominals. Keep drawing your ribs towards your hips, back of the neck. Nice and released. If you want to look under one shoulder or one arm to release the neck too, and then under the other arm. We're going to switch the breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Inhale, stretching the right leg straight back. Can you feel a nice stretch through that left back leg? Swapping over. Inhale, extending. And then releasing down and walk the feet into the top of the mat. Coming into a forward fold, release your head towards the ground. Maybe take a little wiggle if you need to. Bend your knees as much as you need to get better touching thighs. Breathing here. Pushing into your feet, feel the backs of the legs engaged. Release arms really heavy, rolling up. Peeling up with the spine, one vertebra at a time. Last thing to lift will be. Think about sending your tailbone down to the ground, lifting up, lengthening through the spine, opening across the chest. Inhale, circling hands above your head. Exhale, fold, hinging from the hips, zipping up through the abdominals. Releasing head, releasing arms. Inhale, brushing fingertips up, shins lengthen through the spine, open the chest. Exhale, releasing hands down, stepping back to a plank, making sure hands are underneath your shoulders. Lengthen through the spine. From the crown of the head to the heels of the feet, grip your fingertips into the mat, drawing through the abdominals. Inhale and then exhale, knees, toes, chest, chin down, elbows into the waist. Inhale, open the chest. Draw your pubic bone down into the mat. Exhaling, pushing back up to down dog. 3 breaths here. Remember, don't worry so much about the backs of the legs, focus on the hands, the shoulders, and the spine. Inhale, gaze in between the hands. Bring your right leg forward. Take your time if you need to. Exhale, left leg comes in and fold. Inhale, circling hands up overhead, lengthening through the spine. Exhaling, hands down to heart center. Lift your heart as the hands come down. Feel grounded through the feet, centered out your core, open through the heart. Inhale, circling hands up over. Exhale, folding. Inhale, halfway lift, push fingertips up, shins, open the chest. Exhale, folding hands down, step back to plank. Inhale, and exhale, coming down through the knees if you need to, or fold gentle around. Inhale, open the chest. Pubic bone in the earth. Think about neutral pelvis. We're going to take 3 breaths here. Let the body rise as you inhale and fall as you exhale. Inhale, start to push into the hands. Exhale, back to down dog. Inhale, gazing forward, left leg forward. Exhale, stepping in, right leg fold. Inhale, slowly, slowly, circling hands up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center, lengthen, ground. We're going to take one more round each side. See if you can start to move on your breath. That might mean that you move at a different pace to my cue, that's okay. And we'll take 3 breaths in, down, dog. Inhaling, circling hands up overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, open chest. Exhale, hands down, plank, take a breath in. Exhale, coming down. Inhale, open the chest for cobra. Exhale, down dog, 3 breaths here. Inhale, left leg forward. Exhale, right leg forward, fold. Inhale, coming up, hands above. Exhale, hands to heart center, feet in the earth. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, step up. Inhale and exhale, coming down. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, coming back down, dog, 3 breaths. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, left leg and fold. to heart. Tailbone points down to the floor, lifting up through the spine, feet grounded in the earth. The body is active. Mind is soft. Releasing your hands, releasing your chin to your chest, sit them up, pelvic floor, lower abdominals, and rolling down. Your fingertips reach the mat, lift your heels, sink your hips. Take one hand behind you, help yourself down into a laying position. Coming into any position that feels comfortable for you. Taking a nice deep inhale through the nose. And as you exhale, releasing the weight of the ground, the weight of your body into the ground. Allow the body to come into complete rest as it integrates all of the stretching, movement, strengthening, and release. Nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, starting to wriggle your fingers and your toes. Taking a full body stretch or just bringing any movement to the body that feels right as you gently wake back up again, coming back into the room, back into the body. Rolling all the way over onto one side as you exhale. Pausing here in a fetal position for a moment. Noticing how your body feels. Noticing that lovely sense of connection, awareness, to the whole body, presence, hopefully, the wholeness of who you are. Inhaling deeply. And as you exhale, so slowly making your way up to a comfortable seat. Try to keep your eyes closed if you can. And inhale, circle hands above your head, giving thanks to the sky above us. Thumbs to brow center, honoring our own inner wisdom. To heart center, honoring our own inner peace and compassion for all. And bowing down to the earth beneath us, giving thanks. Thanking you all so much. Namaste. Namaste.